like fully finished, fully complete. So maybe Vinith, if you can like open your code and like share screen, and
Yeah.
we could try and remember where it finished.
Sure. Are you able to see the screen?
Yeah, I can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nikhil, can you record, or are you already recording?
Yeah, I already started recording.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Yeah. So these are the main folders inside SRC folder. So I think this is assets folder. This is pretty much self-explanatory. Components, I think we had covered most of them.
Yeah.
And config, this was the config that I referred to. That is the one we need. So for example, API services are inside this config. Others are constants required to be used as argument types. And
I think we've gone through like most of the things.
Yeah.
So maybe something was still remaining in like helpers or like screens or stores. Let's see.
Stores, I think I had explained the what stores means in regards with MobX. And most of the stores, that is account store, depicts all of the variables related to account. Similarly, chat store has everything related to chats, and so on. Login store has everything related to auth.
Quick question. There is a context.tsx.
Yeah.
What does it mean, TSX?
So TSX basically is TypeScript with, so for example, whenever, so React Native uses JavaScript, but the dot notation we can also use JSX, which means that it is an extended JavaScript. That is, for example, if you see here, this particular UI component that we are using is an extended JavaScript version, not the usual JavaScript. So it doesn't matter even if I put it as TS or JS, it won't make any difference in the code or anything. It's just for us to, for the IDE to, it helps the IDE to differentiate things, and also for us too. So over here, it is TSX, not TS, because it involves this particular component, which is actually a UI component, which is a wrapper basically of all the stores that we have. For example, if you see here in stores, we have multiple stores, and we create the root store has all of the stores combined, and an instance is created of the root store. And this root store has to be available across the whole application. So we are creating a context. So in React, context basically, in layman terms, it's a global thing, just like how MobX is. So what we are doing is so all the MobX stores is saved in a context, and we can use it anywhere. For example, maybe login screen over here. Once we have created the context of all the stores, we can use this. If you see here, I imported the use stores from here, over here.
Yeah.
And so use stores has all the other stores. That is, it has the root store. So basically, root store has all the other stores. Root store is the combination of all the stores. So it helps us to get access to all of the stores at one place itself. So from here, if you see, I can have other stores too. I can get it over here without, otherwise it was a bit difficult to import. It was syntactically, and the code readability also reduces because of the previous version, that is using MobX or any simpler way in JS. So this helps to have it in one place, and it makes it readable, and also decouple. It helps us decouple too from the main code. So
Okay, great. Got it.
Yeah.
Thank you. Mhm.
So in short, context is a concept in React which helps us store a global variable and which can be used across the whole application if the whole application is wrapped in the provider.
So, okay, debug is what? Is for debug screen?
Yeah, it's the debug screens,
Okay.
not the screen, but the store for that debug
Yeah,
screen.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, but for those. Other user store, is it like a user's profile or what is?
Yeah, yeah, it
is
is.
it caching other
Yeah.
users' information?
Yeah, it is used for example, if you are inside any chat room and you click on someone else's profile, then it is managed using other user store. The information inside it is managed using other user store.
So question here, how many of the profiles, I mean, are we able to cache many profiles for other users?
Yeah, we can do that obviously, just like we do for
Or is it just caching just one last profile you've been
one
looking
last
at?
profile. For example, previously, I'm not sure about the current code, how it is. I'll check it. How it works is usually, for example, if I visit your profile from any chat screen and go back, and once again, if I visit your profile, it doesn't hit the API. It just gets it from the cached details. But if I visit someone else's instead of yours, then it has to hit the API and get the information from there. So I'm not sure it is complete in this particular code. I haven't checked it, but I'll surely do that if it's not done yet.
So what you mentioned is going to work for what? For one user or for multiple users?
For one user currently, for the last visited user. For example, if I visited yours and the second time also I'm visiting your profile, then it doesn't hit the API to get the details. Rather, it gets it from the cache that we have stored. That is Realm.
Okay, then the follow-up question would be, what will be required? Is it possible, and for what will be necessary to make this store and this logic work with multiple users? So, for example, typically in chat there will be like 3 to 5 people in a small chat group, or like the latest few people that you interact with most often. So if we want to make like from 3 to 10 people that we want to cache their profiles, can we expand this component for that?
Yes, we can do that. We can create a separate table for that, and which will store the information of other users. For example, whenever we are visiting any of the users' profile, we can map across this particular table and see if this user already exists inside this particular table. And if yes, then get the information from there. If no, then get it from the API and then store the same inside the current table. And for next time, yeah,
I'll create the GitHub issue for that then.
yeah.
Cool, thank you. I think the rest is self-explanatory. So transactions is transactions, wallet. Can you talk just quickly about wallet? Is there anything specific about that? Is it like about user's own wallet, or which wallet is this?
Yeah, this is our user's own wallet. I mean, currently it is incomplete yet. I mean, there are still things to do inside this, but most of the things are done in transaction itself. So I'm a bit confused whether to create a separate wallet store or maybe transaction store. I mean, both of them are pretty much can be considered inside one category. That is, a transaction happens because of the wallet that we have. So in terms of folder structuring, I'm asking. So maybe we
wallet
can
store
combine.
is like things related not just to wallet but to the profile of our user, right?
Yeah. No.
Because I saw like there is like first name, last name.
So
I
if you
think.
see it has these informations like, for example, if when the token transfer is done, so basically the transaction and the coin balance this particular action, what it does is it gets the wallet balance that this particular user has, and transfer the function for transferring tokens and fetching the transactions and these. So wallet has these and transactions. I mean, maybe we don't need transactions.store. We can just, use wallet store itself and
Well, you see
Yeah.
that transactions are related both to our user and also to other users. So if we have something that is related to our user, so like our own user, then the question is, what should we have like a separate store component for that
Yeah.
called like wallet store or own profile store, or keep our user in the same component as other user stores? So like have like just call it like users store. And then a separate question is transactions, because users, as I understand, user stores is like about profile details, which don't like transactions, they top up all the time. So new transactions appear.
Yeah.
So it's a bit different. So that comes like from our Explorer API. So like new transactions keep coming in and we need to recognize them. While profiles usually are about first name, last name, profile picture, like some photograph, some bio or description, maybe some QR code. So though that information doesn't change that often, maybe we also like show like last active time or something like that. So to me, like logically sounds like there should be like profile store or user store, which is like universal for all users, and that can include like last 3 to 10 users that our user has visited, and maybe also our own user is also stored there. I don't know if you want to have it separate or there. And transaction store can be like a separate, because it's more like key value, so it's more like a bit different and it updates more often, and you need to keep updating it from the API, from the blockchain transactions. So we should probably revisit this with kind of better naming and better structure, but we can keep it as is for now for discussion.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Anything else? XMPP?
XMPP has constants related to it.
I think we already gone through this in the previous call.
Yeah.
Probably, yeah. Okay. That's pretty much all, right? I think we finished like from the... Anything important to mention here, like package or anything, any like service files?
Let me just see. I think that's it, I guess.
Okay.
Critical things are done.
Okay, that's good then. Thanks, Denis. So
yeah, sure, most welcome.
Misha, if you could prepare like showing some latest stuff from your screen, that would be nice.
Yeah, sure. We will talk about the features or about the optimizations and other stuff, or about both.
I mean, like general overview. We have like half an hour or 40 minutes, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So if you could go through most important things which you think are most important, we can talk both optimizations and features, whatever you feel like interesting.
Then I will start with features because it will take most of the time. So the first feature is the calls that we made. Basically, we have this.
Maybe you could maximize the window so it's like we can. Thank you.
With the calls, we have like two situations: when we call the other user and the other user call us.
Let me just quickly add that we are talking about video and audio and video calls. and obviously using WebRTC technology for that. So please go ahead, Misha. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So when we call to the other user, we need to send the stanza. And how we know that the other user will initiate the call from signaling. I will explain. This constant is tells us about who is the caller, we or other user. If we not have if it is undefined or null, then we need to initiate the call, like we call other user. With this, we will send the special stanza that will tell us about our ID. In that case, this is our wallet address and our credentials. From the other user side, we go to XMPP Central. Call the, yeah.
Sorry to disturb
we
you,
will
Kaiser,
have
but just for the recording purposes, can you please zoom in to the code text a little bit? Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. So in that case, when we receive the request from other user, we will have this type of stanza, where we have this who is called to us. When we receive this caller ID, we move. We need to navigate to the screen, to call screen, and then initiate the call. So if you see, if we have call ID, that means that someone is calls to us, and then we initiate the call on signaling. In our case, we need just to send our session, like with our wallet address, and then all the magic happens. We take our webcam, we create a peer connection with other user, and exchange the ICE candidates. It has our data about our IP, all the other stuff, like how to connect, how other user can connect with us.
Thank you, Misha. I'll just add like some comment again, just to, if somebody is like, or for guys who don't necessarily know how this works, and in our team or somebody watching this. So the audio and video call requires signaling, so like some sort of handshake and some sort of messages to explain what's going on, so the two users can prepare their stuff, like prepare cameras, end call, start call, and stuff like that. So we are using two things. So we are using and Misha can correct me if I'm wrong, but we are using the Python signaling server, which is done by another team called Depex. So the server component, which is like initiating the calls and doing some initial like handshake. So basically, Alice calls Bob, and you need to tell Bob that Alice is calling, and they need to exchange like IP addresses and stuff like that. So that happens initially. And then in the chat, we are using XMPP for signaling as well, right, Misha?
We need XMPP because if we are two users stands in real time, one user in the chat, another user in the chat, we can use only signaling, and that should be enough. But and we stay on the same screen. But if we moving through the app, we need to XMPP to know that and when we are offline also.
Yeah, so I will just also add some couple comments on that. So what is XMPP? XMPP is our text messaging protocol that we use for chat, for messaging. So in Tora, in our product, we have group chats, and we have one-on-one chats, which they all based on group chats, multi-user chats based on XMPP protocol. On the server side, we use a Jabbert server, which is written in Erlang. This is a famous server which has been used by WhatsApp and many others. So it's a really powerful messaging server. So that part is handling XMPP, but we also have our own wrapping around it and API and layers like that. Also, we have push notifications, which is important in the context of calls. So we have built our own custom plugin for XMPP for notifying users in the chats when they have a message. So, which is important when somebody is offline, when somebody is not in the chat. So when somebody is not in the chat, our plugin, which is connected to a Jabberd XMPP server, detects that this user is offline, and we know the device ID of that user, and we send a push notification to that user to notify, hey, there is some new update in the chat, so you can tap on that message, and through deep linking, open that chat, and the app will resume the conversation for you. So that plugin, which we built like before, like a while back, is useful in this calling scenario as well. However, Apple and Google use different type of push notifications called VoIP, so voice push notifications. So operational system gives higher priority when somebody is calling you, obviously, because that's like something that you need to show immediately. So we modified our plugin when somebody, like when we send a different type of message, not just like the usual text message, but like a special technical stanza. So stanza is like XMPP message, a name for XMPP messages. So when our plugin knows that the message is actually an audio or video call, not just a usual chat message, it sends a VoIP push notification, which is different from standard text push notification. And when the other user is offline, VoIP push notification is treated by the operational system as very important, and it wakes up the app like from the background and shows like UI or model, like allowing you to accept or cancel the audio or video call. Is it pretty much correct, Misha?
Almost, because in our case,
Please correct, yeah.
in our case, we need to send a handler for these push notifications in background. Like when we close our app, React Native app, all its data are gone. We don't have any listeners that push notification comes, and we need to wake up our app. To handle this, we need to set the event listener that we know that push notification comes. It has type VoIP, and then we in this handler we need to manually like tell that we need to like back our app to foreground like this, because if we don't do this, like we will just receive the push notification, and that's all. We will not wake up our app.
Okay, thank you.
So about calls, I think it's pretty much all. If you want to talk more about this, I can explain more details. If not, I can move to like transactions or purchases in app.
Yeah, let's move to other stuff, please. Unless anybody has questions, let's move ahead.
Yeah. So basically, to configure our app to handle purchases, the most of the stuff happens on the sites of Google and Apple. In their consoles, we need to like set our products that we will have and subscriptions. And then in our app, we just need to like take these products and subscriptions from Google or Apple API. That's all, but there are a lot of like difficulties because very often we cannot like take these products because we configured our app wrong, or our app isn't live. So the most difficult happens on the side of Google and Apple. But in the app, we need just to like fetch products that we have from the console, and just to request purchase on subscriptions with this idea that we like fetched. For example, this is 10 coins or 20 coins or something else.
Yeah, thanks, Mish. So I'll just add a couple of comments as well. So for custom projects, for specific like clients or specific implementations, we put like specific products there. So that could include like app name and like the value of coins. And then the user has an option to purchase like those coins like one time, one off, or have like a subscription. And then obviously we have flexibility. We can decide like what that means inside the app, inside the ecosystem for the users. For example, like typical implementation in case like of Ethora based like projects would be that the purchase of specific, basically you purchase the internal coin of the app, which behind the coin we have the ERC20 token, which is handled by our Dappr's platform API and by the blockchain network behind it. So the users can earn these coins, they can send them to each other, but they can also purchase them. Again, this is like optional, so depends on the project. If the project wants to allow users to purchase coins for real money, they can, allow that option. If not, then not. There might be issues also or questions from so on per project basis, this will be treated by the Apple and Google App Store review teams, because sometimes they require special regulations. So for the company to be like a financial company or something like that, if you want to work with, to allow people to purchase some sort of tokens or cryptocurrency or something like that for real money. So in that case, you have options. So one option is you can just disable this feature and just have your coins just internal without any connection to real money and just have it like gamification mechanism. Second option is you can explain to the Apple and Google teams that your coin is just for internal purposes. It's like not a cryptocurrency. It's not connected to outside world and to the mainnet blockchain. So everything you do is like in your own private side chain. And again, this is just for your own ecosystem. And the third option is you can go for interoperability between your coins, tokens, and the outside world, in which case you might have to go through some additional questions, scrutiny, regulations from Apple and Google. So that will be for projects to decide. We provide technology and projects need to decide how they use it. Thanks, Misha. Please go ahead.
Yeah, next I will explain about our invites. Yeah, 1 second. Yeah, to invite friends, we just need to set up the backend, and on frontend we need to create the link. In our case, this is just the ID of the user that enters the code, and we just send the request to backend. That's all. So basically, all happens. Yeah, we just enter the code and send a request to backend. Backend tells that you registered your referral and give us the coins or other rewards that we want.
Yeah. So a lot of work here happens on backend as well. So if there are any comments from Boris, anybody can, you can add them. But this, just to explain, this mechanism is combining gamification and marketing, sort of viral referral mechanism. So the user who refers or invites another user gets some coins. I think like 10 or 25 coins we set by default. And the user who joins using the referral code also is getting the internal coins. So this way there is incentive for people to tell others about the app based on this engine, and for others to join and enter the code because they also get some reward in the internal coins. Again, this is like just a great mechanism for the ecosystems to organically kind of spread through the users.
Next, I think about features, that's all. I will move to optimizations or improvements for the app. Earlier we have a problem with our refresh token because when it expires, we need to send request to, and we send request to our backend, and it fails because it says that we unauthorized with this app. So to handle this, by Boris' recommendations, I set up an interceptors. This is like a listener that handles every request and checks it. In our case, we need to check for the error. If error returns like for one status, it means that we are unauthorized, that we need to like get a new refresh token and update our token to to all works. And yeah, we just updates it and make a previous request again. But in the case when when refresh token road return us like for one error, that means that our refresh tokens also expires, and we need to like log out user, and because he didn't go to the app for a very long time. Yeah, basically that's all.
So, thank you, Misha. Just questions, comments here. So, as I understand, you fixed like an important problem, but in my view, it's like from product point of view, it's part of the problem. So, it fixed the issue that users, not going to get this like. It looked previously before this was done by you. It looked like sometimes users would be kind of kicked out from the app. So you bring the app to the foreground, and the app says the token is expired and restarts, which was our quick fix to that situation with the JWT token expired. So now you fixed that part of the things, right? But
Yeah. It will also log out, but in case when refresh token is expired, like we explained with bodies.
yeah,
Because there are also, I think, some tokens like refresh, or except for refresh, there are also some tokens that refresh the refresh token. So yeah. But currently, it will not log out user. Only in the case if he stays for a very long time and didn't come to the app.
okay. So that sort of pain point is removed. Another question I had here, like for another part of the equation for improving the user experience, as we discussed with you and Vinith, that we want to. So currently the behavior is that the session, the JWT token, so whatever the cache, is reset when you log out from the app, and when you log in, these things like the cache, the token, they need to be kind of refreshed and updated, created again. So maybe some of these things, like maybe not the correct technical wording, but from the wearing the product management hat, it feels to me like what we should do is we should store and cache the user's session, user profile. So we need to change that mechanism so we don't delete that information when we log out, when the token expires. And then if we don't delete it, and when we verify next time that the user that logged in is the same user as before, we reuse the same information like profile, like stuff like that from the cache. So is it correct? And what should we do to achieve that?
It's correct, I think, partially, because when we like log out and store information about the user profile, like name, wallet address, and things like that, we when we log in again, we in any case will like make request to our backend, and the backend also will send us this like information. So I think no need to store like a description or other things like wallet address, because we will in any case have this from backend. We can store like transactions or messages, things like that are very big, because there are big number of it to like not fetch it again.
Yeah, I think chat messages and blockchain transactions are the main bulk of information, right?
Yeah.
So how do we achieve that? That we don't need, so we can every time, because I think it's wrong that our app treats the token expiry equally to log out and log out equally to I want to delete my cache. That's not the case. That's not how it should work. So if my token is expired or I logged out, it doesn't mean that I want to delete my cache. I still want my cache to be sitting there in the app, maybe encrypted, maybe not encrypted, but conveniently stored there. So next time that I log in, I don't want to wait for all the messages, all the transactions come from the server. I want at least the old ones, which my smartphone has taken time to download. I want those ones to be displayed from the cache. Of course, if the user who logged in is another person, then we can delete the cache or create another cache for this new person, and then we have to do it again. But usually in 99% of the cases, it will be the same user. So can we achieve that? How do we achieve that?
Yeah, we need just like some identifier for messages. I think we need to check the wallet address, or we need to like delete not all the rooms, like leave like non-member chat, because it will one for all the users. And for transactions, we need to check if user that log out and user that log in again is same user, and in transaction data we also have his wallet address. In that case, we like cannot delete transactions.
What do you think about those stores that Vinit was talking about? So I don't know, is it mobile store? So should the stores have like some sort of primary key or something which is equal to the user's like public address or wallet address? So ID, like unique ID, and then if we identify that the user is the same, we just pick up the same information from those transactions and chat messages stores, right?
Store is mostly real-time like store. To store the data.
Okay, so cache is like, sorry, it's probably different component. So what is like the correct name for the cache stuff?
Cache in our case might be async storage or Realm that we use.
Okay, Realm.
So
just trying to remember what was the location for that in our new structure for those caching
I think it
Realm
was
things.
the Realm or in components or something folder like that. Maybe we need.
Vinith, are you back?
Yeah, hey.
So Vinith, we had we discussed with you that, I mean, I just want to understand how we can reuse the cache from the previous sessions. And we discussed, you have like, in the helpers, you have like async storage. So you mentioned that it's like not Realm, but it's similar to Realm storage, which stores like across app sessions, like different stuff, like users tokens, users token, users data. And we talked about potentially moving that under cache subfolder in the helpers. And now Misha is talking about, and we discussed this like thing obviously about resetting the cache, which we don't want to do. So we want to make sure that the cache for the user, including transactions and chat messages, is retained even if the user has logged out or the token has expired. So what do you think we should do there? Can we create like some sort of primary key for the user's public ID, wallet address? So next time that user logs in, we check that the key is the same, and we just take the same transactions and same chat messages from that cache. Is it possible?
Yeah. We can totally do that. Let me just think what we generally have that can be unique. I mean, So we can use that, and let me just go through. I'll come up with a logic for that. And yes, I think we can definitely do that with a primary key, setting up a primary key. Just I'm thinking, what I mean, do we have something that is already that is unique regarding the users that we are fetching while like for example, when the user logs in, there might be something that is unique. Like for example, the Firebase's UUID that I think we use. Maybe Boris knows. I'm not exactly sure if we are using it still. So using that, we can differentiate any users, and we can set it.
Yeah. So it would be really good if we use the wallet address or public key. So wallet address is shorter, public key is longer, because we're dealing with blockchain wallets with blockchain users. That's like ideal identification. So this project can, we are striving in Ethora project, in our platform project in general, to use that as the main identifier for the user, because that creates like great additional augmentation for the features, for the like communication, for like tokenization and like all this like stuff, like items and all these like layers of economy and easy of use for the Ethereum and for like similar blockchain infrastructure users. So they should work for people who have the key pair basically. So ideally we shouldn't use another ID and just stick to using like the wallet address as the main ID in things like this. It will make things easier for us in future updates. But I just wanted to quickly verify with you that, because you mentioned that async storage stores information across app sessions. So after app is closed, like storing users token and users data. So, and also we discussed in the past that after the token expires, we treat it as user has logged out and we delete the cache. So which one of that is true? Are we storing across sessions or are we deleting across sessions?
Currently, once we log out, we remove all the async store and also the Realm database. So that's how currently it's working.
Okay. In that case, I will create like to-dos, like again in GitHub issues. So one will be that we need to change our current approach, because I thought it's already the case. Like we discussed this in the previous call, but maybe it was like still in the roadmap. So that's like the second step after what Misha has mentioned. So fixing the most important like pain point for the users. So this pain has gone away. Now we need to actually improve it for the users. So we need to persist the data across sessions, persist the data across user sessions. We want to move that async storage in the helpers cache directory, subdirectory, so it's more clear that stuff is all related to storing users cache, like information that needs to be cached. And we need to make sure that chat messages and transactions go there, because chat messages and transactions is the bulk of information that we are waiting for every time that we open the app or that we do something when we start up, right? So that sounds like after we do this improvement, it will be much faster for the users who keep, reopening the app, right? So we need to make sure that these two are stored. So for chat rooms, obviously there might be some nested structure. So and the user, so we have the wallet address, and then we can store, like, each chat room has its own JID or like unique identifier, and then under each chat room we can store the the cache of messages there. Okay, thank you. Misha, did you want to go ahead with anything else?
I think just one thing remains is realm optimization because yeah. Okay. So I think it's the slowest part of our app because in this stanza we retrieve all the user rooms. And when we retrieve it, we need to like write it into database. And previously it worked like that. We every time that we like make requests to get user rooms, it just get it and like write into database. It didn't check that we have already this room or like something else. It just write to it. And these operations is I thought it's very slow because app starts lagging very much. So to resolve it, we just need to check if we already have this room. But also we need to check if room that we have in our cache is different from a room that comes from XMPP. Like because in our app we have possibility to change room name and other stuff, and also like room participants changed and things like that. So to optimize it, we just need to decrease the amount of writing to database because read operation is much faster than write. So
Got it. So just to double check, under database, you mean realm internal database,
yeah, RAM database.
local storage sort of thing.
Yeah. So that's all from my side.
And this, after this change, it works much faster on like lobby screen, like startup screens, right?
Yeah, there are also like things to optimize, but it didn't wait like for a few seconds to load all the chats. It's much faster.
Okay, perfect. So what do you think about this suggestion I just made just recently? If we also cache, do you think that that kind of thing also takes quite a lot of time to retrieve the chat messages, to cache, to like, so will it improve the speed as well if we just, persist the chat messages cache and the transactions cache for the user across the sessions, which seems like logical thing to do?
It might, but for example, we like cached all the chats, log out and log in again, and then we also need to request all the chat rooms, like to check if it is matched to things like we have in our cache. And if, like for example, in worst case, all the rooms didn't match name or participants or JIT or I don't know, it will write these things to our cache to database, and it will also slow down a little bit our app. But in the best case, when anything didn't change, we just need to pull it from database and set up to our store Mobex, and that's all. We don't need to write anything. We also will request these rooms from XMPP, but because they are the same that comes from XMPP and in our cache, we will not write it into database, not change any of our store. So there will be no re-renders. So in some cases, it might improve our app.
Well, yeah, but obviously my, understanding or assumption was that we do things asynchronously. So we use the cache to display what already was there for the user. So like to give something to the user. And in parallel, asynchronously, we pull like new messages from the chat server. So we can already allow users to tap on the chats to go and see like previous messages. And this gives like much better user experience. Users just, they want to, go ahead and do something. And in many cases, the chats will remain the same. In many cases, to see the old chat history before the few seconds, pass and new chat messages start popping up is also useful for the users. So they can obviously remind themselves what was the previous discussion. And I think that's what happens in many kind of messaging and social apps projects. So that sounds natural that we can still, without waiting for the server to confirm something, we can still display stuff from the cache, right?
Yeah, we can, but I think problem also might be it might be gone in new engine, but in old engine we have like this function, exception listener, and it's very big, and all the things happen in here. So we requested the archive, we requested the rooms, and it all slows down when it comes like in a bunch, like all in one time. But yeah, you tell the right things. But React Native is also by its nature, it's much slower than other app like Flutter or anything because there are JavaScript thread under it, and just need to like better understand how asynchronous work with the UI.
Yeah. Well, I think we'll manage through this. So, I mean, I think there is still quite a lot we can squeeze out, and you guys have done like quite a good job, like doing like optimizations, and what you just showed us, Misha, is very useful. So I think after we do this like persistent caching and we do that correctly, and maybe we revisit that XMPP central, XMPP listener stuff if needed, we kind of do a bit of refactoring there if needed. We will do a lot of we'll see a lot of improvements, and obviously we'll start working with other platforms as well. But let's make sure that we squeeze out what's possible from this one, and just obviously provide our users and clients with the best experience here. I think it already works fast, and it will work much faster as we do those improvements. So yeah, I think that's all. So anything else, Misha, you wanted to add?
I think no, most of the things are covered.
Okay. Well, let me know, guys, if anybody has any comments, any questions. Otherwise, we can finish. It seems like that we are nearly there with version V2. So it's like V2 alpha of our engine. We'll still need to do a lot of improvements like code structure, maybe comments and stuff like that. But it's important that we can merge things like all the improvements in terms of the optimizations, but also latest features. And most importantly is the speed, the caching, the fresh token optimizations, and the new structure with the TypeScript and MobX and better code structure. So once we merge all those things together, it's a much better product, so much faster, also easier to understand for external developers. And we have done well, and we can keep actually, it will make life easier for us, so we can build better on top of it. Okay, cool. No questions? Then let's finish. Thank you very much, Misha. Thank you, Vineet, for your earlier additions as well. We'll wrap up for today.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Taras. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Aris.
Thanks, guys. Have a good day. Goodbye.
Thank
Bye.
you. Have a good day.
Goodbye.